Patch 1.59 Flaming Arrows was released a few days ago, and I've taken some time to play around with a few new vehicles and face a few of them, and they've also changed a few things from the original update. So I'm just gonna make a quick overview of my thoughts on most of the vehicles and whatnot. First up, the Russians have the IT-1, their rocket tank. I haven't heard much about it, no major complaints or anything, so I'm guessing it's working as intended. After that, we have the two new additions to the light tank line, the ASU-57, which has like 6 millimeters of armor. It's probably the easiest tank in the game to kill. Its gun is alright for its BR, but besides that, it doesn't add too much. They're quite fun to fight because they're so easy to kill. After that is the ASU-85. I haven't heard anything about this one. I'm assuming it's a lot like the 57, but with a bigger gun and a bit better armor. Besides that, it doesn't seem to do too much. Has the same effect as any light tank. And finally, the Mk.V ZSI-6, or the one-shot master. This thing fires 107 millimeter nuke rounds that one-shot everything, almost. It has pretty low BR, I think 5.3, and is overall pretty amazing. Its armor isn't the best, but have it nicely angled and be far away and you should be good. Only issue is it's bundles, you have to pay real dollar bills. Next up is the Germans, starting off with the Raketen Jagdpanzer II AGM tank. I don't think I said that right. On the forums and Reddit, I haven't heard any complaints about this thing at all. I'm assuming it's also working as intended, whatever that may mean. Next, the Stewart email or something, the Tier 5 open top tank destroyer, and has like no armor. I believe it sits at 6.0, which means it can go down to 5.0 and up to 7.0, which is a very broad range, a lot of different types of tanks you'll meet there. But it's not like it's overpowered or anything, because its hardest point of armor is at 50 millimeters, which just about anything from 5 to 7 can penetrate. After that, we got the reserve tank, Panzer IIIB. I played this one. It's not that good. It has the same type of gun, a 37mm, as the American tanks, but the Americans seem to fire faster and their turrets turn faster. So this thing is kind of just a worse US reserve tank, and it's slow. But it has above the US reserve tanks is it has a low profile, but that's only marginally helpful. It also has just about no armor. Armor isn't exactly necessary in Tier 1 gameplay, since everything can pin everything from just about every angle. After that, we got the new premiums, the German captured Mk.V and T-34. The Mk.V acts like a Mk.V, has better sight, and is tan. After that, we have the hilarious German captured T-34, which, while you can take the T-34 out of the Soviet Union, you cannot take the Soviet Union out of the T-34. For some odd reason, when viewing it in the garage, it has Soviet flags instead of German flags. If it was intentional or a bug, I don't know. They haven't changed it yet, but they fixed other bugs. Besides that, I haven't gotten to use it or seen it in combat, but it seems to be a T-34 with a bit more armor. So yeah. Great Britain only got 2 tanks, both of which are premium. See, they're getting the Japanese treatment. First off, they have the Cromwell Mark V with the rockets, but the rockets, they're fixed in place to connect to the turret. They only fire what direction you're looking at, and won't change angle regardless of what you put the gun at. I haven't seen it in combat. I assume it's like the other Cromwell. It has a 3.3 BR, like the usual Cromwell Mark V, which You might think, oh, pay to win, but it's not like the rockets do that much. You only have 4. They only fire at a certain angle. After that, we have the U.S., who got 4 new tanks. First off, there's the premium T-29. T-29 has caused some controversy because people believe that its gun mallet wasn't modeled correctly, or at least the thickness of the armor wasn't. It has 203 millimeters, and behind that is the gun plate, which is apparently 100 more millimeters, although it's just structured steel, not or homogeneous rolled armor. Structural steel has about 20% or so less strength. So in all, it's about probably 270 something millimeters of effective armor. Well, people are claiming that they should have about 300 in the main top front main. Regardless of how thick the mantle should be, the tank's gun seems rather good. A 105 at 6.7 means that it will fight Tigers, which have their front armor less than the millimeter of the shell. Used correctly, it can beat a steel clubber. Used incorrectly, and it will be clubbed. After that, we have the M551 Chardon. This thing looked pretty interesting. It's a light tank, and it has the same size shell as the KV-2 with similar effect. And it also has the ability to fire ATGMs. There seems to be a bug with the ATGMs. As soon as you fire them, they seem to want to swerve 60 degrees into the ground or into the sky and miss your targets constantly. They also have a pretty short range, as in they will disappear before they hit some things. But when firing at ground vehicles, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But when you're trying to shoot down planes, for some reason, this may become a problem. Regardless, the Chardon seems to be a pretty good tank. It's light and fast and has a big gun. Next up is the M48A1. I haven't heard anything about this. It's a 7.7 tank. I will probably never play it because grinding tanks takes forever. Last up, we have my favorite tank of the new patch, the LTV-A1. It is a reserve boat tank with a 37mm cannon, and it's hilarious. First time I took it out, me and 2 other random players decided to go into the water and mess about for a little while. We still won the match even though we were completely useless. I nearly shot down a plane, sort of. It is a hilarious tank, and I would urge everybody to check it out at least once. With this addition, though, seems the M2A2 is no longer reserve, and now will probably need to be researched, but at least it's still in the game. I thought it was going to be taken out. Now let's get to the aircraft. First up, we have the USSR. They got the Yak-30, a new top-tier jet. I think it's 8.0. I haven't heard any complaints about it. I'm assuming it acts a lot like the Mk.V. Next up, we have the Tu-4, the first prop plane to be put at BR 7.0. Originally at 6.3, this thing got its BR raised because it was ending games far too fast. As I suspected, this thing would enrage the community, especially the US players, because it can do 2 things: bomb the base or go to space. Now the Allies get a little taste of their own bomber spam, although people are saying that this thing is fitting quite well at 7.0 because those 23mm cannons deal with everything. It's like a force field around the plane. Makes me want to start grinding the USSR again. After that, Great Britain got 2 planes, one the premium. First off, they have the Halifax, a new 4.0 bomber right after Wellington, right before the Sterling. Fits quite well. It's a neat bomber. People seem to like it a lot. It has a decent armament, only 7.7s though, as they are British after all, and a pretty good bomb load. I haven't been able to take it out yet. Still researching it. I might do an update later. Probably not. After that, we have the Wyvern, the first turboprop to be added to the game. People were expecting this thing to act like the 82 and just get murdered, Unfortunately, that's not entirely the case because this thing is really fast. As a battle rating of 4.0, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was raised a bit. After that, we have Germany with a new biplane, the HS-123. I've taken this thing out. It has a decent bomb load, but it doesn't seem to do much different than the HE-51s. It's only 1.3, but yeah, it's alright in arcade, I guess. Kind of fun to fly around. Looks cool. Then we have the HE-162A1, the special event jet, which is still yet to be seen and probably won't be seen for a good while. People are suspecting that it's for the next season of Thunder League, which I'm pretty interested in. After that, we have the community member made, the HE-219. I'll probably end up buying this thing because it not only looks really cool, it's a tier 4 at 4.3 and will be an excellent ground pounder with its two Mk.V, which you don't know have HVAP rounds which can annihilate tanks. The Americans got the short end of the stick, only receiving the B-18 Bolo, which is a awesome plane, very old school and shiny, and probably has the longest gear rising animation ever in the game. It can carry a max of 2,000 pounds of bombs, and its turrets are awful. And finally we have Japan, who got 2 planes this time, neither which are premium, which is exciting and interesting. First off, the N1K1JA, which has 2 7.7s and 4 20s. I haven't got it yet, but from what I've heard, it is an amazing plane, and it's only at 5.0. A funny glitch when the patch first came out for its BR for Sim was 1.3. Although I doubt anyone is able to research it that fast, it would be hilarious to see fighting biplanes. They also got the Key 61-2, which is at BR 4.7. This I haven't got to yet, at tier 3, but I've heard good things. It has 2 20mm and 2 50 cals. It seems it has pretty good stats, although I haven't heard anything amazing about it lately. Those are all the new vehicles. Some other vehicles got model updates, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's neat. The B-29 had one of its turrets replaced with 4 50 cals instead of 2, which has inspired US teams to spam B-29s. Also got 2 new locations, port of Novorossiysk and Operation, I can't pronounce either of those. Also, the British coast map got its size increased. Now there's the British coast and the French coast, so you can fly all the way across the channel. None of these new maps I've yet to play on, so I can't make much of a note on them. They look pretty cool. There has been a whole lot of other small changes to the game. I'm not going to go through all of them, because that would take forever, but I'm just going to name a few that I so far like the best. Starting off with the greatest, Tier 5 jets and some Tier 4 planes had their research point requirements decreased quite significantly, making it much easier to get these things. Though this may only be a temporary change, people are speculating that they're trying to get more people into Tier 5 for the next patch, which is apparently going to add a lot of Tier 5 stuff. All the sabers at the end of the US tree has finally been put into a folder. I've never been there. Sure, it makes researching them a bit easier or whatever, but it's always bothered me how they're just kind of spread out. Like, you could just put them all in a folder, so it's just organization and all. There's been a lot of changes to flight models, which is pretty exciting, but from looks like some pretty cool things. Side skirts for Tiger 2s and the Hetzer have been modeled, which is kind of cool. Now, heat will do less damage? I don't know. The German captured KV-1B has had its BR changed from 5.3 to 5.0, which is pretty cool. Overall, the patch has been pretty cool. Nothing amazing, but what has been added has slightly changed the game a bit. The most exciting thing though is the decreased research point requirement for the jets. So yeah, that's been my patch 1.59 overview. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or want to take a note on anything that I may have forgotten, leave a comment. And if you think the video was cool, hit the like button. And if you thought the video was awful, hit the dislike button.